Hi guys, welcome to Consume the Goodness. My name is Kendra. I am a certified lifestyle and weight management specialist, and this channel is all about living well and doing it in real life ways from somebody who not only has the professional experience and part of it, but also who understands what it's like personally to balance living a healthy lifestyle and all of the challenges that life throws at us. So from medical complications to homeschooling our 4 kids for years, we've been doing that, to just everything that comes with life, all the struggles, financial struggles and house stuff and car stuff and work and owning a business. This channel is all about living in a healthy way, really consuming the goodness physically and spiritually in real life ways from somebody who understands the real life challenges that we all face all the time. So that's what this channel is all about. I just want to help you guys really be able to do that in an easy way. I love God, I love health, I love combining the two, and I love helping people, which is what I hope to do here. So today we are going to talk about breaking bad habits. I do recommend, again, going back and watching any of the other videos that you might have missed, because living a healthy lifestyle is so much more than just food and exercise. So I recommend going back and watching the previous videos, especially the healthy eating, like doing it for the right reasons, that video, and then the one where I talk about self-talk, because in those videos, all of them have good information in them, but those 2 videos are really good because they can really help in the process of breaking bad habits. So the whole cycle of like thoughts driving emotions, driving behaviors, that really can play into this a lot. And positive self-talk, being able to do that. Those 2 videos, like I said, they all have good stuff in them, but those 2 videos I think will be the most helpful if you want to go back and watch those at some point, because I think that they can really help with the whole breaking bad habits part of being healthy. Breaking bad habits, breaking unhealthy habits is vital to living a healthy lifestyle. And if we want to live a healthy lifestyle, then we have to break away from the unhealthy things that we normally do. And breaking a habit is not the easiest thing in the world for most, I would say, and understandably so, because a habit, it's something that we do it without even really thinking about it. It's something that we just do because of such routine patterns. So being really mindful of what we're doing, that is super important when it comes to breaking an unhealthy habit. And the reason for that is because you have to be mindful so you know what you're doing. So you notice what you're doing and when you're doing it, why you started doing it in the first place. If you are like a nail biter and you start biting your nails, then you would want to stop and ask yourself, or just stop and recognize your environment, recognize what's going on around you. What is it that made you start biting your nails in the first place? And, okay, this is what I'm doing right now, is biting my nails. Now, what can I do to replace that? What can I do instead of biting my nails? Unhealthy habits we don't want to have, so either replacing them with a better habit, a healthier habit, or just kicking it straight to the curb. Either way, it's got to go. So it is much easier, in my opinion, and also in I think actually even just in any research you may do about breaking a bad habit, you'll probably find that replacing a bad habit or an unhealthy habit with a better one is easier, and probably the success rate is higher than just trying to cut it out and not have anything, just do nothing in place of that. So replacing the habit is very important. Or being mindful, I'm sorry, is really important, and for the reasons I just said, but then also thinking about why it happened in the first place, what prompted it to happen. That's really important, because when we do that, we also might notice a pattern with that, like, oh, every time I come to this place, this is what happens. Every time I'm around this specific person who maybe, just being really negative. That could be a bad habit, an unhealthy habit that you have, getting into a negative mindset. So every single time I'm around this super negative person who's always being negative, everything that comes out of their mouth is really negative, and they just talk bad about people all the time and complain about how everything in their life is horrible. Every time I'm around this person, I notice that I join into that conversation. That would be a bad habit that you have, and you would start to notice that pattern. Every time I'm around this person, this is what happens. This is the habit that I get into. When I'm around them, I start being negative and complaining and talking bad about people. And so then you can stop and say, okay, how can I change this situation? What can I do instead of talking bad? Can I maybe try to just change the subject, or start looking at the brighter side? When they have something to complain about, say, yeah, but at least this, or, you know, that would be an example of thinking, being mindful of what's going on around you, noticing a pattern, and then trying to think of a way to stop what you're doing and change it to make it better. A healthy habit, replace it. So, I have noticed that sometimes, and I think this is with everybody, so you might notice for a while that when you're in the middle of this process, you're noticing, you know, the whole point is to stop yourself from doing a bad habit, replace it with a good habit. It's good to understand, or really keep in mind, that it is a process, and it might just happen in steps. So it might be like you don't even notice that you did something until afterwards. You don't even notice the bad habit till afterwards, after you have already done it. Don't look at that as a bad thing, like that you failed. You're still noticing it. You still recognized it in the first place. And then the next time, maybe when that thing happens, you'll notice it in the middle of it happening, and you'll be able to stop in the middle of it to replace something. And then the next time you get into that situation, you'll be noticing it before the bad habits, before you start doing that behavior, take that action. You'll notice before you do it. And then in time, as the steps go on and the process goes on, you will, as time goes on, you will have replaced your bad habit with a good habit. Whew, so just understand that recognizing the patterns and knowing that there's a process and it takes some time, that's part of it. And it's just part of improving. It doesn't have to be something that happens really, really fast. It's going to take some time. So be consistent. Also, when we are consistent in something and we stay consistent, we start to see results. If you are trying to break a bad habit and the thing that triggered your nail biting or whatever it is happened 3 times and you still bit your nails all those 3 times, it doesn't mean that you just say, oh, whatever, I'm a nail biter, that's that. Keep going with it. Keep being consistent, and it will be worth it. You'll start to see the bad habit fading away. So I have noticed in the clients that I have talked to and clients that I've coached that when we start talking about breaking bad habits, it is sometimes a little bit difficult for them to think of what bad habits they might have, because it's just stuff that we so naturally do. So I have found that giving like a sample list, starting a sample list of bad habits, really starts to get like the thoughts going, like, oh yeah, okay, and then they can make their own list of the unhealthy habits that they have. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go over I'm just going to give a few examples of unhealthy habits, and then different things that we can do to replace those unhealthy habits, just as examples, so that when you guys are thinking about the unhealthy habits or the bad habits that you have that you want to break, you can start having these things in your head, and it will start getting you brainstorming on ways that you can replace those unhealthy habits. So one could be like frying food. If there are certain meals that you make or certain foods that you cook and you always fry it, just start getting in the habit. You would just replace frying it with like baking it or broiling or air frying. An example would be like when we make wontons or egg rolls at home. We went first from just buying stuff that's already made in the store, which is already fried, and then bring it home and fry it, to making our own, getting the egg roll wraps and wonton wraps and putting the stuff getting the ingredients ourselves to put inside of it, and then we would fry it, and then from that we went from doing that to air frying it or baking it in the oven. And if you want the the crispiness, you can still have that. You can just spray over the food with like a cooking spray, and then you still have that, but you don't have the greasiness. You're not frying all of this food. So that was a process. It was a process that we did, and now that's just how we cook those foods when we make them. So that is an example of that. Another unhealthy habit would be sitting all the time, sitting during all of your free time. And I'm not saying don't ever sit, don't sit and relax, don't ever have time to relax. That's not what I'm saying. But in the free time that you do have, try to just dedicate like just 30 minutes of that free time to some type, instead of just sitting, exercising, do a workout or go for a walk or ride a bike or something, in the free time that you have. That would be a bad habit. Sitting all the free time you have, just sitting always, when you could be exercising in that time, even just 30 minutes each day or whatever. Eating every time you watch TV. So eating every time you sit down to watch TV, or rewarding a workout with junk food. Those actually the breaking a habit, I'm trying to think. Those two I could probably come up with the same thing. So let's say that like after a workout, it's like a really good, like you went for like a 2-hour hike, or it's a really good workout, and you just want to reward yourself with junk food. Like, man, I worked out. I deserve this. Whatever it might be. Or, oh, had a long day. Every time I sit down to watch TV, I want to have some kind of sweet treat. So you have like a big bowl of ice cream, and that's what you do every time after a big workout, or when you sit down to watch TV. You have a big bowl of ice cream with like sprinkles and a bunch of chocolate syrup and like cookies or brownies or something crumbled in. My husband's like, that sounds really good. I can tell by his face. Anyway, if that's the habit that you have, replace it. Replace the bowl of ice cream with something else. So maybe get like some frozen low-fat yogurt, or you can just have regular yogurt and throw it in the freezer. But having like low-fat or non-fat yogurt and some fresh fruit and some you can still have chocolate syrup, like some sugar-free chocolate syrup and crushed almonds. Throw that in the freezer. That way when you're done with your workout, or when you sit down to watch the movie or whatever it is that you're going to watch, you have that to grab instead of the ice cream. So you still have the same type of pattern, the same type of pattern or habit, but you have replaced the unhealthy food with something that's better for you. So you have replaced a bad habit with something that isn't going to compromise your health. That's what I was trying to say. It's not going to compromise your healthy lifestyle. Another bad habit, I would say, let's see, skipping meals, just not eating. If you have a really bad, like unhealthy, all the way 100% unhealthy breakfast or something, and you think, oh man, that was a really bad meal I had, so I'm just not going to eat anymore for the rest of the day. That would be an unhealthy habit to have, and that would be a pattern too. Every time I eat something that's not good for me, I just stop eating. You don't want to do that. Your body still needs the nutrients that it needs from those high nutrient dense foods that we've been talking about, and you don't want to get into a habit where you feel like you have to like punish yourself or something for not eating something that was super good for you, or having a whole day of eating foods that weren't good for you. Okay, it happened, and so just move on from that. Still eat. Don't deprive yourself of food or make yourself hungry because you had a bad meal, so you feel like you need to stop eating or skip. So skipping meals, that is definitely a bad habit that some people have, unhealthy habit. Emotionally eating or turning to food for comfort. This one you really, really want to be paying attention to what it is that triggered. What is the emotion? And when I say emotional eating, I don't only mean like I'm really depressed, so I'm eating because I'm unhappy or depressed. I'm talking about like stress, sadness, or really happy and excited about something, and everything in between. Any emotion, emotionally eating. And I would say that most people, when they're emotionally eating, they usually go for like the high carb, high sugar foods. So, which unhealthy. So it could be, when it comes to emotional eating, this could be as simple as just a food swap. Instead of grabbing like chips, like potato chips and dip, grab some vegetables and dip. It could be something as simple as that, but it also could be something much deeper than that, because it's your emotions. If you're going through something emotionally and you're going to food for comfort, really paying attention, being mindful of what it is and what the emotion is and what triggered that emotion and what help you might be able to get for that. That's another unhealthy habit that we can get into, emotionally eating. I think that, so those are just some examples of unhealthy habits, and then different things that we can do to replace or stop doing those unhealthy things. And just keep in mind that this is not something that's going to just happen overnight, and that's okay that it's not going to happen overnight. And I always feel like something that takes some time to get down is better than the stuff that happens really, really fast, because we have a better appreciation for it. We understand it a lot better, and we've learned more through the process of getting there. So the fact that it's not going to happen overnight is a good thing. And sometimes it's a lot of trial and error. So let's say that you had a really stressful day. It was a hard day, and you tried to do some writing, like journaling or something on that day, and you really felt like, yeah, this didn't help at all. And then the next time you had a really stressful day, you cleaned your house. You did like a real good deep clean on your house, and that actually did make you feel better. So that was just a trial and error thing. Writing at the end of a really stressful day, okay, that doesn't really help me very much. But cleaning my house, that really did make me feel better and kind of help relieve some stress. So it's going to take some time sometimes, and trial and error sometimes, to find what works best for you. It takes time, just really knowing that and having a good grasp on the fact that this breaking bad habits is going to take some time. Sometimes some habits don't take that long to break, and other habits take a really long time because you're so used to doing it, and it's okay. It's a process. But the time and effort that you put into being mindful about these certain behaviors and finding what works and what doesn't work, it really is worth it. The time and effort you put in really is worth it. And we, even as believers, we can have bad habits there. So just like we have bad habits, unhealthy habits, physically, we can have unhealthy habits spiritually too. And so I'll do the same thing. I'll go over some unhealthy habits that we can have as believers, as children of God, as saved people. And I'll just refer to the Bible as the ways to get through those things, I'll say, and break those spiritually unhealthy habits. There you go. So one would be like letting stress and worry consume you. So just being stressed out all the time, or being really, really worried about any difficult thing that comes your way. In the Bible, it tells us that stressing and worrying about stuff, it does not add one bit of time to our lives. And actually, we should just be praying instead. In the time that we've spent stressing out about something in our minds, or talking about how worried we are about something out loud, in the time that we spent doing that, it could have been better spent praying. We could have been praying in our minds. We could have been praying out loud about what the situation is, instead of being all stressed out and worried like crazy over it. Another spiritually unhealthy habit we could have is like turning to the world, or just people, or ourselves for our comfort. When I say this, I don't mean like don't talk to people when you need comfort or for comforting. I'm saying go to God first, because he said that he will never leave us or forsake us. He is always there. He is our Father. And what better comfort can we get than from him? We can't. There is no place to get any better comfort. So going to God first, I'm trying to think of a way to say this to where it seems like, oh, so I just shouldn't talk to anybody else, shouldn't talk to my husband or my wife or my parents or whoever when I need some comfort. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, go to God first for your comfort and find your comfort in him instead of only trying to find it in other people or in yourself. Of course, you should still talk to your husband or your wife or your parents or, whoever that the person might be, your brother or your sister, when you need comfort. But I guess, gosh, I'm trying to put this in a way to where it's just so easy to understand. Go to God first and know that your comfort is coming from him. Always is coming from him. Complaining, that would be definitely an unhealthy habit as believers. Complaining about stuff instead of praying. In Philippians, it talks about being content. Being content no matter what. No matter what the situation is. Be content when you have a lot. Be content when you have a little bit. And pray. And thank God for what you're going through. So in Philippians, when it's talking about being content in all of your situations, we should do that. As believers, we definitely should do that, because we know and believe and have faith that whatever the situation is that we're going through, God means it for our good. And so that's what we need to be keeping our minds on, is know that even in the hard times, he still means this for our good, and he will use this situation for our good. And so we should be praying, and we should be praying and be thankful for even the hard time. Be thankful when we're going through the really good stuff, but also when we're going through the really bad stuff. And I think a lot of times we don't do that until after we've been through the hard stuff. And then it got us to the good part, and then we're like, oh, thank you, God, because if I didn't go through that really tough situation, I never would have gotten here. So I think that getting in the habit of thanking him while we're in the middle of the hard time that would be a really good habit to get into instead of doing it afterwards. But not only that, actually take it a step further, like praying and thanking him for the hard time that you're going through right now, and thank him because you know that he means it for your good, and thanking him because he's getting you through it. But also ask him, what is there something I'm supposed to learn right now? Whatever it is that I should be learning, whatever it is I meant to learn from this, or whatever it is, show me what I can learn. Show me what path to go on. Show me where I can grow, or what direction I need to go in. That would definitely be much better habit than to just be complaining about this. Like, oh, this is hard, this is tough, this is whatever. We do go through very hard times, so we definitely do face challenges, but we do not face them alone. So keeping that in mind and knowing in the Bible where it tells us, all through the Bible actually, that he's always there, and that even when it's a hard time, it's still for our good. It's still getting us to a good place. Let's see. Not being thankful or taking things for granted, I would say that would be a spiritually unhealthy habit to have. I'm going to read 1 Thessalonians. I'm going to read. Let me find it, yeah. Okay, so 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. For having a habit of being just ungrateful. You don't have a thankful heart. This is what 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18 says. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, in everything give thanks, give thanks, For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. So just like what I was talking about before, that's his will for you. It's not going to go away. He's not going to say, oh, you're in this tough time. Well, I guess that means I can't get you to where you need to go. We should be thankful all the time, even when we're in a hard time. Think back right now. Think back through all of the tough things that you've been through. Where did those tough times get you? Somewhere good. I will say that you got somewhere, you're in a better place now because of the hard time that you went through. And if nothing else, you're wiser because of it. You're stronger because of it. You are closer to God because of whatever hard time you went through. Good will always come out of those things when we are leaning on God and when we're staying in the Bible and staying in his word. Let's see, another bad habit to have as like a Christian, anger, being really angry, being quick to anger. There's something about that too. So Proverbs 15:18 says, a wrathful man stirs up strife, but he who is slow to anger allays contention. So it is just clearly telling us in the Bible, don't be so quick to be angry. Have the wisdom and the control to slow down and be calm and avoid being foolish, really. I mean, if you think about, if you have ever done it yourself or have seen other people just like burst out in anger and they're like yelling and shouting at people or just yelling to nobody and slamming stuff and knocking things everywhere. Where does that get them? Be slow to anger, because it really does make you look foolish acting like that. It doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't make you feel better. It doesn't make the people around you feel better. Slow to anger. And I don't mean you like you and I'm perfect. I've never had anything like that, because that's certainly not true. So I just mean you like people in general. Being selfish, that would be another one. That's probably used as the last example. So being selfish, that would be another spiritually unhealthy habit. Philippians, I'll read this one too. Philippians 2:3-4 says, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. Let each of you look not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others. So, don't be selfish. Don't be only thinking about yourself and what's good for you and think about other people too. So, selfishness, that's another unhealthy habit. We all, I would say, I have a hard time thinking about anybody out there who does not have some type of habit that is not beneficial to their health or to their relationship with God. But to be on the safe side, I would say we probably, likely, all of us have habits that have unhealthy effects on our bodies and unhealthy effects on our spirit. We just need to recognize what they are and when they are and why they are, and start replacing those unhealthy habits or bad habits with good. And understand that it's a process and it takes time to find what works best for us, to get into that. Sometimes making a list of replacements can be helpful. So knowing what your bad habits are, and then just next to that, have a list like, instead of biting my nails, I will something. Whatever a replacement thing might be for you. Instead of this, I'll do that. You can have a list like that. That can be helpful. Telling somebody what you're trying to stop doing, that can be helpful too. And actually, they might even, your friend or whoever you might recruit for support, they might be like, oh crap, I have some bad habits too that I'm going to break. So we'll just be each other's accountability partners. That's something else that you can do. So just to wrap up, it's just really, really important to be understanding that this is a process. It's going to take time. And if you, not doing something right away, it does not make you a failure. You are not a failure in a process where you are actively working to improve. You're actively working towards improvement. That is not a failure by any means. And our mindsets have so much. Our mindsets, the way we think about something says so much for how that certain thing, whatever it is going to play out. So you need to, that's why going back to that, the other video about having like positive self-talk and a good mindset, that type of stuff, so important. We can either look at a challenge as a way that we are defeated and as an excuse for, or a reason for why we cannot succeed in something, or we can look at a challenge as an opportunity to grow and to learn and to move forward with that new strength and knowledge. The way that we look, the way that we think about something and our perspective on it, it makes such a big difference in what we do. So, I think that's it. Bad habits take some time, and it's okay if it takes time, and it's a process. And before you know it, you're going to be like, oh man, remember when I used to do this? Or you won't even think about it because you'll have a brand new habit, and that'll be your natural way, and that's just what it will be. And that'll be another part of your healthy lifestyle that you guys are working on living. So, or that you are living. I also, since this channel is all about living well and consuming goodness, I want to recommend to you guys and share with you guys a really, really great way. One of the great ways. Reading your Bible is good, and watching these videos can be good, but also getting a word from, or messages or sermons or whatever from somebody who is real and honest and like straight from the Bible, a straight from the Bible way of getting God's word. Family Bible Fellowship, I would definitely recommend that. And I know that they're in Early Branch, I think that's what it is, Early Branch, South Carolina. So if you're in that area, I would recommend going there. But if you're not somebody who's in that area like me, they offer, Pastor Stuart Guthrie and his wife Jennifer, they offer really, really awesome online services. So you can listen to their Sunday services online, but they also have Bible studies online, and it's just so good, and it's all throughout the week, so you always have that. I would recommend anybody that I know, anybody I don't know, to go to their website or their Facebook or their Telegram or Vimeo, like whatever it is that wherever it is you go to get on social media or watch things, I would recommend doing that. And I have all of their, the links to their website and all their social media platforms and everything. I have all of that in the description. So I definitely recommend going to those areas to get that, to get just another place to get God's word. So that's it. If you guys have any questions or comments, feedback, anything at all, please leave those in the comments below. And if you would be so kind as to like and share and subscribe and all of those good things, that would be awesome. And as always, I'm just going to say this all the time when I ask you guys to share this. It is not for me. It's not for my own recognition. All of this, even the healthy food talking part, it's not about me. I want this all to be about God. God first, and then you guys. And just spreading the word for living a healthier life spiritually and physically. So anytime that you guys share these videos, it means so much. It means a lot. So thank you so much for doing that. And if you prefer not to leave a comment and you would rather email me, you can do that. The email address is consumethegoodness@gmail.com. And that's it. So thank you so much. God bless. And I hope to have you back on the next one.